Hello, my friends. Welcome to Luna English Podcast. This is Luna. Today, I've been thinking about something we all do without even noticing it. We wait. We wait for the right time, the right mood, the right plan. We say someday again and again, and we truly believe that someday will come. But the truth is, someday isn't real. It's an idea we use to feel safe, but it quietly keeps us stuck. Procrastination isn't just laziness. Most of the time, it's a kind of fear hiding under the surface. We delay action because we're afraid to fail, afraid to be seen trying, afraid to face the truth that effort might not bring perfect results. And so, we build careful plans, we tell ourselves we're preparing, but we're really just protecting ourselves from discomfort. This is why understanding the illusion of unlimited time is so important. We think we have endless days, so we wait. But life is moving, time is moving, and the things we want to do slowly become things we never did. In this episode, I want to explore how procrastination works inside us, why it feels safer than action, and how we can begin to live with more honesty and intention. I want to help you see the difference between being busy and being truly intentional with your time, and how even the smallest imperfect action can change everything. So let's start here with a simple but powerful question. If someday never comes, what happens to the life you dream of? Why do we keep waiting even when we know we shouldn't? We wait because waiting feels safe. It gives us the illusion of control. As long as we're planning, we haven't failed yet. As long as we're thinking about starting, we don't have to face the risk of not being good enough. Procrastination is often a form of emotional protection. It's not that you don't care about your goals. It's that they matter so much to you that the thought of failing hurts. And so, your mind looks for safety. It tells you stories like, "I'll do it when I have more time," or "I need to plan a little more." These stories sound reasonable, but they're just fear in disguise. Deep down, you know that no moment will ever feel perfect. There will never be a time when you feel fully ready, and yet this fear-based waiting can last for weeks, months, even years. The cost is quiet but heavy. Every day you postpone action, you lose a piece of your dream. You begin to accept less from yourself, and life becomes something that happens to you instead of something you shape. The truth is, there's nothing magical about starting tomorrow. Tomorrow is built on the same thoughts and habits you choose today. The sooner you see that procrastination is not about laziness, but about fear, the sooner you can begin to meet that fear with courage and small steps. Why do we trust someday so much? Because it's comforting. Someday allows us to believe we'll still do everything we want, just not now. It protects us from guilt because it's not a no, it's just later. But later is a trap. It keeps us still while life moves forward. Think about how often you've said you'll start a habit, learn a skill, or change something when things calm down, or next month. Most of those promises quietly disappear. Someday rarely arrives because it doesn't exist on the calendar. It's just a story we tell ourselves to avoid the discomfort of acting now. The danger of this story is that it makes delay feel harmless, but delay always has a cost. Every someday you believe is a moment you lose, and the more you repeat this pattern, the easier it becomes to believe that waiting is normal. But waiting isn't neutral, it's a choice, and it's often a choice to give up power. Life doesn't pause while you think. Time doesn't stop while you plan. The hours and days you trade for comfort never return. Once you understand that, you can begin to ask a better question. Instead of, "When will I be ready?" ask, "What can I do right now, even if it's small?" Because real change doesn't come from the future. It starts here, in the present moment, with one honest decision. Are you truly working toward your goals, or are you just staying busy? This is one of the most important questions you can ask yourself. Being busy feels productive, but it's not the same as being intentional. You can fill your days with endless tasks, scrolling, planning, and preparing, and still move nowhere. Busy is about motion. Intentional is about direction. When you're intentional, every choice connects to a purpose. Even if the step is small, it moves you closer to something real. But when you're just busy, activity becomes a way to avoid the deeper work. It's easier to organize a plan than to take the first messy step. It's easier to research than to risk failing. The problem is that busyness can feel satisfying. It tricks you into thinking you're progressing, even when you're standing still. And this is how months or years can pass while your dreams remain untouched. The shift happens when you start measuring your days not by how much you did, but by whether you did what truly mattered. Intentional action often looks quiet. It's one step, one page, one attempt. But it's deeply powerful because it's real. It builds momentum. And once you begin to act with intention, you realize that progress isn't about how fast you go. It's about where you're heading and whether you're moving at all. Why do we plan endlessly and call it preparation? Because it lets us feel in control without facing risk. Planning is useful, but it becomes dangerous when it turns into a hiding place. We tell ourselves we're not ready yet, that we need more information, that the timing isn't right. But often, these are excuses shaped by fear. Fear of failing, fear of being judged, fear of discovering we're not as capable as we hoped. And because planning looks productive, it's hard to notice the truth, that we're avoiding the real work. If you've ever spent weeks perfecting a plan but never started, you know this feeling. The plan feels safe because it's still just an idea. Ideas can't fail, but action can. And that's what makes action powerful. Action brings reality into the picture. It shows you what works and what doesn't. It gives you something to learn from. A plan, no matter how perfect, does nothing until you move. So the next time you find yourself overthinking and over-preparing, pause and ask, am I planning because it's needed or because I'm afraid? That honest question can break the spell and remind you that courage begins not with the perfect plan, but with the willingness to begin. What are we really afraid of when we wait? Most of the time, it's failure. Failure feels like proof that we're not good enough. It feels final, like a door closing, so we avoid it by not trying. But here's the truth. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of the path to it. Every person who has achieved anything worthwhile has failed many times. The difference is that they didn't let failure stop them. They saw it as information, not as identity. When you fail, you learn. You learn what doesn't work. You learn what you need to improve. And each lesson brings you closer to where you want to be. But if you never act, you never give yourself the chance to learn at all. The fear of failure keeps you safe, but it also keeps you small. It tells you to stay where you are, even if you're unhappy. Overcoming that fear doesn't mean pretending you're not scared. It means acting even while you're scared. It means accepting that imperfection is part of growth. The first step won't be perfect. The second might not be either. But with each step, you grow stronger and more confident. And that is how success is built. How do we break free from procrastination? It starts with brutal honesty. You must be willing to face the truth about how you use your time and why you delay. This isn't about blaming yourself or feeling guilty. It's about seeing clearly. Ask yourself, am I really too busy? Or am I choosing not to prioritize this? Am I truly waiting for the right time? Or am I avoiding discomfort? When you stop lying to yourself, even gently, you stop giving fear the power to control you. Honesty is uncomfortable because it removes the stories we hide behind. But it also gives you power. It lets you see your choices for what they are, choices. And once you see them, you can change them. Brutal honesty means admitting when "I'll do it later" is really "I'm scared." It means recognizing when "I'm planning" is really "I'm hiding." And it means asking what matters most and whether your actions reflect that. This kind of honesty isn't always easy, but it's deeply freeing. It's the first step toward living with intention instead of illusion. And from that place, even the smallest action becomes possible. Why do small steps matter so much? Because action builds confidence, and confidence builds momentum. We often wait for motivation before we start, but motivation rarely comes first. Action comes first. Even the smallest step changes how you see yourself. It shifts you from thinking to doing. And once you're moving, motivation grows. The mistake many people make is thinking they need to make big changes all at once. But small steps are powerful because they're doable. They don't scare the brain as much. They build habits quietly. And over time, those tiny actions add up to something much bigger than you imagined. Write one page, walk for 5 minutes, speak one sentence in English. These actions seem too small to matter, but they are the beginning of everything. They prove to you that you're capable of change. And once you believe that, you're no longer waiting for the perfect moment, you're creating it. Small steps turn someday into today, and that shift changes everything. Why is imperfection better than waiting? Because imperfect action is real, and real action teaches you. Perfection is a trap that keeps you from starting. You wait until you feel ready, until the plan is flawless, until you know everything. But that day never comes. Perfection is just another form of fear. It keeps you stuck in thought instead of moving in the real world. Imperfect action might feel messy, but it's alive. It gives you something to work with. You can adjust, improve, and grow. Every great project, every skill, every dream begins imperfectly. And that's not a weakness. It's a requirement. The courage to act imperfectly is what builds progress. The truth is, no one remembers the small mistakes you make at the beginning. What matters is that you began. Because once you begin, everything changes. You're no longer dreaming of a different life. You're building it. Why do we act as if time is infinite? Because it's easier than facing the truth. We all know that life is short, but we don't feel it every day. We act like we have endless tomorrows, so we waste today. But time is not unlimited. It's the most precious thing you have, and every day you wait is a day you never get back. This isn't meant to scare you, it's meant to wake you up. Imagine looking back on your life and realizing that fear, not lack of time, was what held you back. That's a painful thought, but it's one you can change right now. The hours you have are a gift, and they are passing whether you use them or not. The question is not how much time you have, it's what you choose to do with it. When you remember that, someday stops sounding comforting and starts sounding dangerous, because someday isn't guaranteed. But today is here, and it's waiting for you to begin. Why does movement change how we feel? Because action transforms fear into strength. When you move, even in small ways, you prove to yourself that you're capable. You show your mind that you can handle discomfort, that you can grow, that you can do hard things. Confidence is not something you wait for. It's something you build through doing. Each step you take, no matter how small, becomes evidence that you're not stuck. And that evidence builds belief. Soon, the tasks that once felt scary begin to feel normal. The fears that once held you back begin to lose their power. This is why immediate action matters so much. It's not just about the results you create, it's about the person you become. And that person is strong, capable, and ready for more. So don't wait to feel confident before you act. Act, and confidence will follow. How do we stop fear from controlling us? By facing it instead of avoiding it. Fear grows in silence. The more you hide from it, the stronger it feels. But when you face it, you see it for what it is. A feeling, not a fact. You might fear failing, but that doesn't mean you will. You might fear not being ready, but readiness grows through doing. When you meet fear with small, steady action, you take back control. Fear will still speak, but it will no longer decide. And each time you act despite fear, you build courage. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to move forward anyway. And that decision is available to you right now, in this moment. What happens when we choose direction over delay? Life begins to change. You stop drifting and start steering. You stop reacting and start creating. Choosing direction means asking what matters most to you and moving toward it, even if the steps are small. It means saying no to distractions and yes to purpose. It means replacing "I'll do it someday" with "I'll begin today." And once you make that choice, momentum builds. Direction turns scattered effort into meaningful progress. It turns fear into focus. And it reminds you that your life is not something you wait for. It's something you shape with every decision. Why is now the best time? Because now is all you ever truly have. Tomorrow is uncertain. Yesterday is gone. The only moment you can act in is this one. And that means every day you wait, you're giving away the only chance that's real. Waiting feels safe, but it's not safe at all. It's how dreams quietly fade. It's how life passes without you living it fully. You don't need to wait for the perfect plan, the perfect time, or the perfect version of yourself. You're enough to begin right now. And once you do, everything else can grow from there. So where do we go from here? We stop waiting. We stop hiding behind fear, busyness, and someday. We choose honesty, small steps, and imperfect action. We remember that time is precious and that direction matters more than speed. Your life is not meant to be lived on pause. It's meant to be shaped by your choices, day by day, step by step. The sooner you act, the sooner you grow, and the sooner you grow, the more alive your life becomes. So today, choose to begin, not tomorrow, not someday, but now. Because your life is waiting for you to direct it. And the moment you start, everything changes.